All right, and for episode 100, we have Disguise Self. First level illusion, casting time of 1 action, range of self, components verbal somatic, duration 1 hour. You make yourself, including your clothing, armor, weapons, and other belongings on your person, look different until the spell ends, or until you use your action to dismiss it. You can seem 1 foot shorter or taller and can appear thin, fat, or in between. You can't change your body type, so you must adopt a form that has the same basic arrangement of limbs. Otherwise, the extent of the illusion is up to you. The changes wrought by this spell fail to hold up to physical inspection. For example, if you use this spell to add a hat to your outfit, objects can pass through the hat, and anyone who touches it would feel nothing or would feel the head and your hair. If you use this spell to appear thinner than you are, the hand of someone who reaches out to touch you would bump into you while it was seemingly still in midair. To discern that you are disguised, a creature can use its action to inspect your appearance and must succeed on an intelligence investigation check against your spell save DC. However, it doesn't really cover voice. For a first level spell, it's another one of those that I see my players always picking up, or at least those who can. To be able to entirely visually disguise yourself is really useful. Not only that, it's not just a coating over you, which you can still mimic the effect with larger illusion spells. It doesn't make you invisible, though. You still poke through it. Whereas Disguise Self, anything that would extend or stick out of the illusion is invisible. And you can change it to about a foot. Now, it specifically says with taller, it specifically references that in changing of height, but also meant larger or thinner. So I'd say that a foot is also in all dimensions. You can manipulate a bit. You can't give yourself wings, you can't give yourself a tail, you can't add extra limbs, which can limit you a bit. Though I'd say to what arrangement, like would those count as limbs for the sake of the spell? Wings probably, tails? Making everything invisible, you have the issue of the fact that it doesn't block sound. So if you're in plate armor, but the character's wearing cloth and you're just clink-clonking around, that's bad. Or if you're trying to disguise yourself exactly as someone, you better be able to do a good impression, or have a feature that allows you to mimic someone's voice, but the spell doesn't do that for you. That's on you. Also, this can only be cast on self, which, yeah, it's Disguise Self, it's not Disguise Other, but it does limit the application of the spell itself. If you're playing Arcane Trickster Road, definitely pick this up, but you can't really hit this on a rogue who might have a mimic feature, or like a monk Kenku in your party who can mimic someone's voice. You can't really do that, which limits its flexibility. Outside of some of those issues, it's relatively simple and a good pick. First level, does only have the range of self, not too bad. Verbal somatic, no material component. And it lasts for an hour, not concentration, which is really good. This means you can have another spell going that might be aiding in this illusion or hiding you, or some charm spell on top of this to add to the illusionary effect. And while this is really good in a player's hands, again, depends the spellcaster and the organization, but world building wise, heck, who doesn't want an instant disguise in an action? Even if you don't have voice, while you might be thinking entirely mimicking yourself and going to the spell's full capabilities of, I'm going to immediately look like this other person or this other race or species or group so I can hide amongst them. You could also just fake clothing or a badge of office. Do you know how long it takes to don and doff armor, especially if you don't have the proficiency to wield it? You're a spellcaster who could instantly in an action make yourself appear in the Royal Guard's plate. Yes, your face can even be the same, or just a random face so you're not recognized, and it doesn't matter the voice, you don't have to disguise as specifically one person. There are badges of office and bits of clothing and materials that show status or signs or allow you to get access into places. I'm talking Hitman level things. While in the Hitman games, you can't disguise your face all the time. It's more in the fact that you can disguise in the outfit of the attire or the role you're supposed to fulfill. It's literally a disguise. So any situation that you would be using a disguise, this is great. The only issue then comes up to the physical inspection, which is where the disguise kit still wins out a bit, but the disguise kit takes time, money, resources, and proficiency. Meanwhile, this just takes an action. Also, the reliability of it kind of depends on your spell save DC, which can be boosted by magic items. And that investigation check would only be if you're up to scrutiny. So deception checks, basically be smart. Also, don't get caught actually casting this in the middle of a room. The disguise, it's the same reason you wouldn't be putting on a disguise in the middle of a party. The fact it's first level. Another use of this before I give the rating, contraband. While we're talking about full disguises, outfits, wearing off as a badge, looking like a different race so you can sneak into a group, you could just be wielding weapons or guns, but then look unarmed. And it's not until someone physically shakes you down that they're gonna recognize it. Or have someone underestimate you, make yourself look sick, make yourself look plagued, diseased, injured to an extent, and add in a fake limp. And then when action actually triggers, well, your leg still works, it just looked like it was broken. And while I'm also referencing it in the hand of players, DMs, that's a great, great fun trick to use on a group of assassins against your party. The only there's a few downsides. One, the sound. It doesn't block sound. Its reliability is a little dependent on the situation and your spell save DC, but that can be buffed up with items as well, and as you level. It's a first level spell, which isn't that bad. The thing that gets me is, while this is fast to put on and not concentration, a disguise kit or just taking someone's clothes or badge of office would be held up to scrutiny, at least a bit better than the spell. Like that fake limp or diseased scenario I brought up for like a group of assassins or an ambush on the party. You can pull that off with just a really good disguise kit. So anything with the disguise, you could do with enough time, effort, and skill in a disguise kit. But that's where it comes into it, is the fact that it's just a first level spell and an instant cast, and it's fine quality. And depending on how your DM rules disguise kits and such, because that's already a bit wonky rules-wise, 9 out of 10. We're real generous.